Schumann said in Advice to Young Musicians, highly esteem the old, but take also a warm interest in the new. This is something that's been on my palate for a long time without even knowing that he wrote those words, since I was probably in high school, but definitely by the time I got to college. I wanted to play music that a lot of people didn't really care for too much or didn't think about very often. And it just makes sense to me that I am doing a project like this. And I can see after over a year of doing this that it really is a very special project, because truly almost nobody gives a rip about anything other than Bach and Beethoven and Mozart and anything that's been popularized and considered great music. Now, and I've said this before, it's not to say that I don't like those composers. There's a lot of music by them that I hold in high esteem as well. Before I go on with more talking, I'm just going to play a little warm up. I've basically not played cello this week, with the exception of a few very brief practice sessions. Life is busy, and unfortunately, I'm just not mainly a cellist where I live. Uh, I'm trying to overcome that obstacle, but it just doesn't seem like it's possible. So I do what I can, and basically hate the rest of my life. So this is kind of an outlet that I can do. So if I look sullen or down on myself, it's basically because I hate the rest of what I do to earn money, and I wish I could do more in music. To repeat the first quote and actually quote it in full this time. I only read the first half from Schumann's Advice to Young Musicians. Highly esteem the old, but take a warm interest in the new. Be not prejudiced against names unknown to you. I find that rather a good, I don't know if it's mantra, slogan, maybe, motto, I think is the word. If you take that only by itself, if you were to read only one point that he made in his pamphlet of something like 10 pages worth of points, then you would say, wow, Schumann was ahead of his time. We should take care to learn new music. But then you read it in context and you quickly realize that he wasn't talking about just any old music. In fact, in other points, he writes very negatively about music that is perceived as second rate music, or worse, bad music. In fact, you should not even propagate that sort of music. You know, there are things that inspire us, but not always do the same things inspire us in the same ways, or even sometimes things inspire us once but don't inspire us again. That's happened to me. I I can also think of examples where there are things that inspire me again and again and again, and that was certainly true. For example, Shostakovich inspired me all throughout college, as did Fauré, and and a really good one, the Grieg Cello Sonata. This is considered great music, but it's not played very often for being considered great music, and it's very, very well written. It's just a masterful piece of writing. What I'm doing with this project is exploring ways, and I'm as I go along, I'm developing new thought patterns, new ideas about how I'm thinking about this forgotten music, this neglected music, this music that has been pushed aside. Yeah, maybe it never had a chance to come out and be enjoyed, or maybe it was played once and just forgotten about. It could have been that simple, just plain old forgotten, or it could have been actively suppressed in the sense that people, teachers, performers said no, and they adamantly refused that opportunity to their students, for example. And then you just perpetuate that sort of thing, and that does happen. We see that in all walks of life, and in every uh, category of life, where these sort of things happen. Things are left to the wayside, they're just plain forgotten. It's simple as that, or they are suppressed. And I am now coming to a point where I'm exploring some uh, music further afield. I mean, maybe this sounds, I don't know, whatever the modern terminology is. I don't mean it to sound like I'm uh, putting men above women or anything, but farther afield in the sense that I am actively searching out anything that was written for cello that is um, doable with a couple of weeks worth of practice, for example. Anything that is extremely complex, I'm just not capable of doing that right now. There's the time constraints with family, and having to earn a living in ways that I despise. Bleh. And then just having this extra time. Anyway, I have discovered some women composers, as you may have seen in a couple of uh, live streams and posts that I've made. Anyway, Louise Farranc, a French pianist composer from the 1800s, wrote a cello sonata. And I am really intrigued by this piece of music. It is it's easygoing, but it has a beautiful line to it. It is easy to listen to, but it is intricate. Um, it's kind of like that. Mozart was capable of writing music that was at once very complex, but at exactly the same time, it's very easy just to put it on for background music because it's so pleasant. Um, and it's been used that way since he started writing music, I guess. I've played tons of Mozart in my life for as a in a string quartet, for example, for wedding music, for receptions, for various events where people are just talking over you as you play because that's what you were there for. You're there to provide background music, and it never fails. It always seems to have the most pleasant effect of basically any of the music that we played. This is kind of like that. It's inventive, it's exciting, it's pleasant, just really pleasant music. She wrote, apparently, according to the IMSLP list of compositions, 51 works with opus numbers and 6 without opus numbers. Unfortunately, I can't find any other music that is written specifically for cello other than a piano trio, which was written for flute, cello, and piano. And for obvious reasons, I'm not going to play that because it would just sound awful if I put flute or even violin as a MIDI instrument. Somebody may have noticed the violin case right here. I restarted learning violin about 2 or 3 years ago, but I had gone so long without touching the instrument as a serious student that it's really long in the making. Can't even vibrate, vibrato. So this Ferenc, I'm extremely excited about this piece of music, and I hope that I can continue with it and eventually do all 4 movements of this sonata and have a decent take on it. Well, before I started looking into women composers specifically, I had already entered more than half of the first movement of this Oscar Wehrmann cello sonata for organ and cello, or as he puts it, organ or piano and cello. And I performed the first movement some years ago with an organist, and it was just fantastic. It was really cool. I was collaborating with this organist quite often while we were still in the same location, and it just was a really good working relationship for concertizing. And hopefully I can finish that soon. I would like to be able to do that next week, but we'll see. I've got a lot of things that are totally work related, but I've got to get them done very soon. So we'll hopefully get something uploaded. This summer has been very spotty for a couple of reasons. The family takes precedence, of course. The other reason is I started to feel quite depressed about the lack of being a musician. I just really felt very down, more so than usual, and really just took a lot out of me, and I decided I was just going to take a break. Now I've kind of recovered to my extremely depressed days and regained some composure, as it were, and now I'm just moderately depressed because I have to earn a living doing crap work and try to be a musician when I can. So anyway, I would like to say thank you to especially one listener who has been regularly commenting. That's much appreciated. I really like to be able to interact with people when possible. I'm not always the best person to interact. I do look inward an awful lot and look down upon myself an awful lot. So I probably come across as uh, not a very friendly person, or maybe even stuck up. I've been accused of that before, but mainly it's because I look down on myself a lot and oftentimes think I'm not that great or that worthy, even though I really enjoy it. So, well, I'm going to play just a little bit more. Like I said, I really haven't done a whole lot um, over the last couple of months, really. But this past week has been not good for practicing. On an upper note, the family, we got to go out to an aquarium. That was really exciting. We got to see um, lots of fish. There was a huge tank with some sharks and some gigantic stingrays in it, and just thousands of thousands of fish. And then winding through the passages, jellyfish and all sorts of other creatures. Very cool. It was nice to get out. So that refreshed the soul just a little bit to get out and do something. Because after all, I actually like being outside. I'm from the countryside, and I currently live not in the countryside, and that's also quite depressing. I'd really not like to live in the city anymore. I'm very sick of it. It's noisy, it's dirty, it's uh, yeah, people looking at you all the time, and it's not my style. Not my style at all. Um, just to go over the Ferenc a little bit as a reminder, this is what the Louise Ferenc sounds like at the beginning. I think it's very charming. It's got lots of beautiful lines. Something like this, first movement. So I wish someday that I could regain some of my cellistic technique and composure. I don't know if it will be possible, and I'm pretty depressed about that myself as well. Uh, I have a dream that I could be a musician again, and uh, think well of myself at the same time, be confident. Um, anyway, that beginning just has a fantastic floating character, and this is how it goes on. The piano, it kind of goes back and forth. The piano gets some time as well, but this I'm going to skip the piano section because it's all accompaniment like this for about two phrases, and then it goes back to cello. in my mind, this actually sounds like some works that I've heard before. Of course, let's see, Opus 46. I think she died in 1875, and she wrote 51 opus numbers. I don't know the timeline yet, and I haven't been able to find any additional information. Um, hopefully, I will be able to locate something. Apparently, there is some extended biography written on her in French, and I don't really understand French very well, so that might take a little while. Google Translate probably would do an okay job there. The timeline, I would venture to guess that she wrote this somewhere in the middle of her life. I mean, just by the looks, the feel, the sound of it, she has mastery over melodic writing. It's very sensical writing, but it's interesting. It's not just um let's see, kind of like template writing or following the rules writing. She follows the rules, but in the sense that harmonically speaking, it works the way tradition, theory of that period is taught. But it's very beautiful. It's like romantic. It's not classical anymore. It's got classical structure, but it's romantic for sure. I kind of almost feel like she might have she might have given ideas to some other composers. I just can't put my finger on it yet. Um, I haven't practiced any more of the sonata. That's just page one. But I do plan on practicing more and more of it as time progresses. Back to advice to young musicians. Do not judge a composition from the first time of hearing. That which pleases you at the first moment is not always the best. Masters need to be studied. Many things will not become clear to you till you have reached a more advanced age. Now, I don't know exactly how he meant it. I can guess that he meant based on surrounding points that you don't waste your time on little ditties and even compositions by well-known composers that were meant to just purely be entertainment, show off your virtuosic skills. He wrote stuff like that, which is, it's kind of a pity that he would say stuff like that, because with younger, and most of us being very impressionable at younger ages, we get the idea and then throw up barriers against music that would otherwise be very nice music. And it is looked down upon because of thinking like that. Now, again, if you read that in isolation, you think, okay, a lot of the music that I'm playing, yeah, I've had to listen to it once or twice. The first time, a lot of this music, the first time I didn't really think that much of it. This Ferenc Sonata, however, is a different story. I was immediately taken in by its melodic line and the harmonic implications. Just really spoke to me. Okay, I'm going to take a tangent because that, I think, provides a good opportunity. It's precisely that kind of experience when you are listening to something, playing something, and you're taking in all of that information. the melodic line, the melody, and then the implied harmony. Sometimes there are chords in this music. There are not chords. There are no double stops, just single notes. But sometimes it's arpeggiated, which gives us an implied sense of harmony. And of course, when you study music theory, you you get a better sense of what's going on here. And for me, this is inspiring. This kind of writing here is inspiring. So when I play it, when I'm looking at it, I've been doing so for 2 weeks, I think, maybe 3. When I look at this and when I'm entering in the piano part, I'm constantly thinking about what's going on, what's happening with the harmonies, with the harmonic rhythm, what's happening with the melody. Um, you know, the she starts slow. The rhythm is very slow and methodic at the beginning. It's kind of floating along. That's the first 4 bars of the music. So she brings you gently into this really nice melody. The piano actually introduces this by 2 measures, doing something like this in B flat major. Yeah, but imagine that on a piano and a little bit more expanded. So going up higher and coming back down. And then the cello comes in. Now, in the middle of that phrase, she's quickened the melody, the rhythmic feel a little bit. So she brings you in very gently and soothingly, and then she increases it like you're kind of picking up steam. But then she brings you back like this, like you're going to step off of something that's moving and just take in the scene for a little bit and then get back on. Right here. And this is right here. This is where the piano picks up the melody, and the cello comes in 3 measures later with sustained bass-like notes and punctuations, kind of what a double bass might do, and even hear what a timpanist might do in an orchestra, for example. If you had, I don't know, 4 timpani maybe. And then from here on out, the tempo, the rhythmic feel is much quicker. It moves along. You're really, I don't know, maybe chugging along in a locomotive, uh, a steam train. Is what I'm trying to say. So you're seeing the countryside from a steam train. You're really moving along, but it's scenic. It's nice. You like it. Okay, I haven't warmed up. I haven't practiced. Uh, it's just moving along really nicely, and you're really, uh, maybe you're really excited about whatever you're seeing. I don't know. You could paint a picture 1,000 different ways, and it'd still be it'd probably be right, right? I mean, it's so subjective. Uh, It'd be interesting to know what she was thinking about when she wrote it. Composers, if they did things like Vivaldi did for his four seasons, the four concerti for violin and orchestra, he accompanied them with those poems about the seasons. It just adds a lot. That could be one of the factors that draw people into that set of concertos so much and why they're still so popular today. In fact, I just saw, um, I think it was on YouTube, a nine, 9 or 12, I don't remember now, 9 or 12-year-old boy has become the first or the youngest person ever to record all four of those concertos. And I mean, it's popular music by all standards, in the sense that more people listen to that than lots of other music. And the descriptive poetry that accompanies it really helps bring it to life. People can imagine what he was thinking about when he wrote it, rather than having to come up with your own story, which is exciting and interesting in and of itself. But we love getting into the minds of the composers and trying to understand what was going through their heads. Why did they write it this way? Why didn't they go a different direction with it? And this, it should be said that these sonatas are on a different um, technical proficiency level than pretty much any of the music I've done up to this point. All the Gultermann stuff, uh, I would say most of the Klengel music, a lot of the August Nulk, Albert Siklos, um, Bruckner, Oscar Bruckner to a certain degree, Joseph Holman to a certain degree. This is music that you could conceivably give to beginners through intermediate level students. Beginners, I mean to say, after they've learned some technique and are able to get around the instrument on their own without supervision, for example. Like, you have to stay with the straight bow, which I'm desperately trying to do right now, or use your fourth finger. It's extended here. It's in closed position. It's in open position. Fourth position here. They know what to do. And bowing technique, of course, is extremely important. So it's expected that music that was written for professional players would have a totally different appeal than the other music. And I hope that's reflective in, well, it'd be nice if more people viewed it simply because it was more interesting music to them. Um, Maybe it's safe to say that it's more interesting to me too. Also, I've been playing beginner and intermediate music for so long, and isolated myself to do that for so long, that I feel very relieved to play advanced music. It feels good to play advanced music, and I really want to play more advanced music while continuing in on the beginner and the intermediate music. Now, there's one more quote that I'd like to read from Advice to Young Musicians by Robert Schumann. In judging of compositions, discriminate between works of real art and those merely calculated to amuse amateurs. Cherish those of the former description, and do not get angry with the others. This one in particular really draws up memories that, I don't know if disturbing is the right word, but it emotions start to flare up in my body when I read "Do not get angry with the others." Um, my question is, in this day and age, with the myriad of people all vying for the same thing, why do we still put down some music and venerate the composers and the music that they've written in other cases? Um, what's the point? People will be people, unfortunately, and we live in a world that is just not rational most of the time. Well, I shouldn't say most of the time. There are a lot of people that are very irrational in their reasoning. And another thing is, how hard is it? Honestly, this is an honest question. How hard is it not to be mean? Seriously, why do we find it so hard to be not mean? Which implies a an amount of self-control, of just not doing or saying things that others uh, will obviously be hurt by. Sometimes we say things inadvertently or do things inadvertently, and we don't even know that we've hurt other people. That's a totally different subject. But in this case, he actually says, don't get angry with the others. Don't get angry with, I mean, does he mean don't get angry with the people writing that music or playing that music? Or don't get angry with those compositions because they are just, fluffy, virtuosic, or nice pieces for, I don't know, playing in the salon or something. But again, what's wrong with that? We've got so many people playing. This is just one example of many. We've got so many people playing the same stuff. I can't. It boggles my mind to even think about how many people at this very moment are playing the Bach Prelude in G major. And there aren't even that many cellists in comparison to violinists and pianists. How many people are playing Mozart Sonata in C major, the famous one? How many people are playing that music at this very moment? Boggles my mind. Why not play? I don't know. Why not play Reinecke? Why not play Kuhlau? A lot of students are playing Kuhlau and Kuhnau and Clementi, of course. That's probably overplayed too. As far as cello music is concerned, instead of always playing this, which is important, and I hope students are learning this music because it's very good music. But why not play the Clayo sonatinas, for starters, or for companion pieces? How does it go? I've already forgotten how it goes. Here it is. The A minor. This is the second sonatina. That's good, is it not? That's nice music. I mean, by all accounts, if you look at the writing honestly, this is good writing. Why isn't it being played instead of hashing over this for 1,000 times in your life in your student days? You could be using a sonatina by Klengel or Gultermann or uh, some short works by Nolk or Bruckner to be helping you, supplementing your learning instead of playing this again. Oh gosh, I don't know what to play. I think I'm gonna play. Okay, I'll play Bach Prelude again. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna play Bach Prelude. No, 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 no. I just learned the minuet. I'll play the minuet. Give me a break. There's so much good music out there. Anyway, I've never done this before. I've put out my opinions now. Uh, I very may well not let this episode get out and just redo another one, or at least I will let this one stay out for a short time and then um, unpublish it and do a different episode with a little bit more flow to it, a little less meandering talk. Anyway, I'd like to leave you with this belief or this thought of mine. Music for me has never been about who the person is. It's never been about color of skin. It's never been about whether you are a man or a woman or a really young person or a really old person. The sole thing that dictates what I like is does it leave an impression on me? Do I enjoy the music? That's the only thing that dictates whether I play the music. Well, maybe one other thing. When you're a student, you listen to your professor, your teacher. So, I just want that to be known. This has nothing to do with gender. It has nothing to do with color of skin. It has nothing to do with any of that. If they write good music, I want to play it. That's really what it is. And as I've said already, I really enjoy this Louise Ferenc sonata, and also the Ethel Smith sonata, which is extremely complex, and I hope to get to it next year. I don't think it's possible this year. Next year, maybe. And I need to build up to it a little bit. Also, there are other pieces that I want to do in the beginner and intermediate levels. Going back to some Gultermann music and maybe some more Klingel music. And there are some ensembles I've been thinking about doing, not just duets with myself, but also there are some quartets that I was thinking of trying out. That may take a good while to figure out the intonation for. So with that, I'm going to say goodbye. Hope you have a good weekend. Thanks for watching, and play some more forgotten cello music. And be nice to others. At least don't be mean. Thanks.